I finished university almost exactly 5 years ago to the day, and I graduated at the end of 2021 because it was COVID when I finished, but I did get my degree. And today I'm going to talk about my honest, unedited thoughts about university in the UK. Welcome back, everyone, to your favourite place to stop and have a chat. That's all we're doing today. We're just chatting. It's a lovely morning. I've had a great start to the day. I haven't quite done a cold shower, but I did the thing where you like it's warm and then you turn it cold at the end before you jump out, scared and shaking. Which I'll get there eventually. I'll be able to do the full shebang cold eventually. But yeah, a couple of videos ago I spoke about doing a dopamine detox, and that was part of one of the things that I had to do to avoid that fast dopamine. And I really underestimated how important it is to get a good start on your day, which obviously makes sense, right? If you get a bad start to anything, it just kind of sets the tone, sets the mood, and it kind of subconsciously tells you that whatever you're doing isn't that important if you have a bad start to it. Some people just check out instantly if they have a bad start to stuff. But yeah, I've had a few days where I've been up and down with my dopamine detox. There's been some days where it's been a bit easier than others. There's been some days where I've really, really struggled and I haven't really done much. That's okay. The path isn't linear, right? But anyway, today it's been a good start. I hope it's a good start for you too. We've got a whole day ahead of us. I've got plenty of work ahead of me to do today, so I'm going to keep this one quite short. So, anyway, I am now 27 years old. I went to university 1 year after I was technically old enough to go because I technically had a gap year where I did a year of sixth form, and it wasn't for me. I didn't do very well. I didn't get the grades to get back into my second year of sixth form, so I went to college instead, and I studied film and TV at college. And back then it was perfect for me because I was getting into video making and editing and vlogs and YouTube and stuff like that. And here I am still waffling on YouTube all these years later. Anyway, I went straight from college to university in a course that was like the same field as what I was doing, right? The course I did at university was editing and post production, which is very niche, right? Not every university is going to have an editing and post production course, but it's what I liked at the time. I backed myself, I did it, I finished it, and I've got some thoughts about it. So, first of all, I'm kind of here. I'm not somebody that everyone should be listening to. I'm your very average 27-year-old guy. I'm here because I'm conscious that there's a lot of people, a lot of younger people watch YouTube, and a lot of people will be talking about, thinking about, debating, deciding on whether they want to go to university or not. Now, I obviously did the full 3 years and I got into what's technically a lot of debt doing that. I think it's like in the region of above £50,000, right? Which is pretty steep. Understandably, people would think that. However, as you've probably been told already, it gets paid off very gradually when you earn money and not when you don't earn money. It doesn't also stop you from getting other loans, mortgages, cars, stuff like this that you need to get when you get a bit older and you want to get that sort of stuff. It doesn't stop you from doing that like another big lump of 50 grand debt would. If you racked up 50 grand on Klarna or something like that, or one of these buy now pay later sites, or you got yourself into a bit of a gambling addiction or any sort of debt with anybody from something, an accident or something. I don't know how else you accrue debt. I'm trying not to know, to be honest. But so the debt is one thing, sure, but it is also quite negligible, which kind of sounds contradictory because it's a lot of money, right? But yeah, I mean that's linear. I mean, you can work out how much debt you're going to be in from that and decide whether it actually will affect your life or won't affect your life. For me, it wasn't something to stop me going. I did it anyway, and I don't regret. Well, I don't want to sit out here and outright say whether I do or don't regret going to university because I don't want to like have that impression on other people. I just want to talk about my experience and give like quite an unbiased review based on somebody that's actually been there and done it, right? Because I'm hearing a lot of talk in like the media and on TV nowadays from like adults. Obviously I'm an adult, but there's people that are like 30, 40 years older than me that are talking about whether the university system's broken. I think Elon Musk's called it like the biggest scam or something like that. But it's like, realistically, what does Elon Musk know about going into university in the UK in the 2020s, right? Nothing really, other than he can kind of see the policies on paper that it costs X amount to go and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that said, I enjoyed uni. I lived away for the first 2 years, and then I moved back in with my parents. Luckily, it's not too far away where I can't commute. Like it's a commutable distance away from where my parents live, right? Which is where I still am, by the way. If I haven't already made that clear in previous videos, or if you haven't watched previous videos, welcome here. So yeah, I lived at home for the last year, but I moved away for the first 2 years. And moving out is an experience on its own. I think it's an important experience. It kind of grows you up a lot. It forces you to mature quite a lot, and you get a lot of independence from it, right? Especially the current economy at the moment in the UK is set in a way where not a lot of young people can afford to move out unless you're really lucky and have a really highly paying job. You're not going to be able to afford to move out. So university is one way to move out at a young age, have fun, stay up till 4 a.m. for no good reason, get a pizza every night of the week if that's what you want to do, and just enjoy yourself, meet new people, act like you're a homeowner for 2 weeks, for 2 years, if you last, well, maybe might only last 2 weeks, but yeah, you get to, live the moved out homeowner life, the independent life. So I think if that's something that appeals to you, it's probably worth doing it for that. I personally did enjoy that. And then I actually went to university in London. So I decided after 2 years that London really wasn't the place for me. And I still to this day think it isn't the place for me. I'm not really much of a city boy. I do work in the city. I do commute. I do get on crammed trains at silly hours in the morning and get back quite late at night. That's something I do for my job. And that leads us on nicely to the next thing I want to talk about off the back of going to uni, right? So the whole premise of going to uni that you'll get told when you're in school or college or whatever is that it makes you more employable, and it makes you, it will probably lead to you getting a quote unquote better job, higher paying job, which I want to sit here and I want to say, I think that's absolute rubbish. I think that is the bit that a lot of these people on TV have issues with, right? I don't think it makes you any more employable nowadays. I think back in the day, maybe when I was younger, when I was growing up, university was like put on this pedestal of like this big thing, this big impressive thing that like, oh, so-and-so's daughter goes to university. Wow, she must be really, really smart. It's not really like that anymore, to be honest. I think nowadays all you have to do to be able to go to university is be willing to pay, is be willing to, apply, and obviously you have to get some sort of target grades to get in. But from what I've seen and heard from people, people around me when I was going through the same process, the entry requirements are pretty low. You don't have to be a super smart person or indeed that good at what you do to get into uni. I'm not going to sit here and, trash talk anybody else, but I tried really hard to get into uni because at the time that was like the path I was going, and I'm somebody that when I'm doing something, I'll put my all into it, right? But I saw some of the stuff that got these other people into uni, and I won't name any names, but it wasn't great. It wasn't impressive. It was pretty basic stuff, It's something that anyone in school nowadays could probably do. Obviously, my course was editing and post-production, so it was much more... It was a very specific skill set, and it was a very niche course, and it was something you had to be, interested in to do. You wouldn't just want to fall into that course. That said, there are plenty of courses out there where you will need to go to university. There are plenty of jobs and, industries out there which will require you to have a university degree, which is probably a bit annoying. But, if you want to be a lawyer, it's probably best to not wing it and just learn it all off of YouTube. It's probably best to get an actual degree, get the qualifications. And that's the big thing, right? It will give you qualifications or open you up to be able to get qualifications for stuff that you want to do. Now, the problem is, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like I said, I went into university because I was interested in filmmaking, interested in videos, interested in YouTube, interested in editing, and I enjoyed the craft of it. It was a time in my life where I didn't feel like I was good at much stuff because of what I went through at sixth form. I had without getting into it, I had some family problems, and I was then made to feel like I wasn't very good at school because I didn't get the grades because I was going through some stuff at the time, and I didn't get let back into sixth form for the second year, which was pretty bad. And the only reason I didn't get let back in wasn't because I misbehaved or threw chairs at teachers or anything. I didn't get kicked out. It was purely because they had like target grades you had to get into the second year of sixth form, because if they let everybody that was in the first year back into the second year, then the grades will probably be down, and it looks bad on the school, and it's just it's all a bit rubbish, really. It's not very student friendly, that kind of thing. These school teachers act like they're there to help you and look after you for all these years when you're there, year 7 to 11 in the UK. And then when you get into 12, 13, it's like, it's every man for himself, man. Sorry, we're just here to show good grades on paper. So if you're not going to get us good grades, you're gone. Bit like an academy, like a football kind of thing, like a football academy. So yeah. I won't speak too much on this because, like I said, I can only speak about my experience, but I do know that there are degrees out there, or there are apprenticeships out there. So that's where you go and basically get a job straight out of school or college rather than go into university. But there are jobs that will pay for you to get a university degree qualification without you going to uni, moving away, living there, and getting in all the debt, obviously, because your employers are paying for it. I know a few people that do that. And to be honest, like, I think they're doing it because they need a degree to progress in their career, but because their employer's paying for it, and they only go in, I think they go in 1 day a week, right, to university. They go to uni 1 day a week and then work the other 4. So they're on an apprenticeship wage. They're not on like a full-time wage, because obviously they're doing a fifth of the work less than everybody else, and they're also very new, and they're unqualified when they start. So that is also another option for people that want to have a degree under their belt. Now, there is another side to the coin. I'm sitting here, banging my drum, but I've been told that there's a lot of jobs out there that will take anyone that just has a degree and won't take anybody that doesn't have a degree. So obviously that's a bit backwards. It should always be set up in a way where, like, the people that are best for the job get the job, but not in some cases. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works. So there is another upside to getting degrees, but the one last thing I want to talk about when it comes to helping people make their decisions on whether they want to go to university or not is social groups and friendships and the social side of it. Now, when I was going to university, so maybe I started in 17, so maybe 2015, 2016, all the talk about university was parties, clubbing, nights out, every day of the week, and you'll make a million friends. And that was probably true back then. It wasn't quite my experience, because London universities are very different. They're not campus-based, so you literally just are dropped into the city. You'll live in like a student accommodation that will, likely fall down if the wind blows a bit too strongly. It's not going to be great, but that's okay. It's humble beginnings, right? No one wants to move into luxury. Well, people want to move into luxury, but no one expects to move into luxury when they go to university, especially as you're paying like less than what a full market rate rent would be, right? You pay a little bit less and you live in a box room. That's how it goes. So I didn't have that experience when I went to university, and I'm also aware that after COVID, a lot of that changed. A lot of clubs closed down. A lot of the nightlife scene in the UK across every city suffered massively. And obviously cost of living crisis was massive, so that the students that were already very poor people, because as a student you never have any money, because you don't know how to budget properly, because you've never had to do it before, they were even more poor after the cost of living crisis came into it, right? It was like they'd spend their night out budget on food for the week. So it's tough. There's a big loneliness epidemic out there as well, with how addicted people are to their phones and to social media. So I think the social side of university isn't as appealing as it once was. And one more thing I will say that nobody will probably tell you is, if you want to make a lot of friends at uni, it's definitely possible. I still keep in touch with my uni friends nowadays. They're great. I don't see them as often as I'd like to, because naturally they don't all live near me. But I've been on holidays with them and stuff, and they're still very good friends of mine to this day. However, that was mostly down to the fact that we are all the same age. We're at the same stages of life. So I think if you want to make friends at university, obviously it's not limited to age group. You can be friends with anyone of any age. However, it probably suits you a little bit better if you go to university at the age of, between the ages of, I think 18 is the youngest you can go, and maybe like 21. I think if you go as like a late 20s, mid 20s, early 30s, late 30s student, it'll probably feel a bit worse. You'll probably feel like you're a bit behind the curve. It'll probably suck a little bit. You'll have other priorities in life. You know, there's certain ages where you kind of, if you want to have kids, you need to think about settling down and considering that side of things, and that's probably very, very difficult to do while you're at university. So I think definitely if you're going to go for it while you're young, but don't fall don't fall into the trap of thinking that you will have your life together, you will have the job for life, and you'll be rich. Because I went to university, I finished it, and I'm definitely do not have my life together. I'm definitely not rich, and I've been in a few different jobs. Maybe in a future video, I will talk about the jobs I've been in since I left university and where it's led me. I'm not coming here from a place of like I'm complaining about it. I'm just giving you my honest, raw, unedited thoughts, because that's what we do on this channel. That said, if you enjoyed this video, sorry it's been a little bit long, please hit the subscribe button. I will get better at doing these. They won't always be this long and waffly. And yeah, ultimately the bottom line is I'm no less lost than I was before I started university, but also that's okay. I'm fine. At the end of the day, today's going to end. Tomorrow, the sun will rise again. And we're all on this journey together, So I hope I've provided some sort of value for people. If you've clicked this video hoping to get some idea of what university's like in the UK. Ultimately, if you've got the itch and you want to go experience it, you just got to do it and you've got to find out your way. But these are my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed. Please hit subscribe if you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.